O sacred mother, your belief in me gave me the strength to do what I believe. Thank you for the love you've shown to me. Always there in my time of need. Oh, sacred mother, oh, sacred mother, oh, sacred mother, through you I entered this earth. To guide me through life's lessons I must learn. Thank you for the love you've shown to me. Always there in my time of need. Oh, sacred mother, oh, sacred mother, oh, sacred mother, you showed me love divine to keep God's presence always on my mind. Thank you for the love you've shown to me. Always there in my time of need. Oh, sacred mother, oh, sacred mother,
Good morning, everyone. I'm sure all of you are aware of that statement that has come down through the ages. People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And they probably shouldn't have bathrooms either. The master of life stated that point very clearly and more distinctly in this way. Can we have this first PowerPoint, please? You can read this in Matthew 7, 1-5. Judge not that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Well, how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. I think this may be one of the most remembered statements in the Bible. Most people are aware of this particular statement. Let's take it back again. So, judge not that you be not judged. This, I guess you could call the essential truth of the entire Scripture. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Well, how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the speck out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. You know, the point is easily understood that if you get the log out of your own eye, you probably don't have any need to try to take the speck out of anyone else's eye. Because getting the log out of our own eye is getting the ego-centered idea and definition of life out of our awareness, so that we're not operating from an illusion of separation from all of our brothers and sisters. You know, the greatest allegory in the Bible is in the first book of the Bible. If you understand that, you understand the fall of humanity, and just see the essence of it, of this particular idea. I'm just going to paraphrase it for you. God creates man in his image and likeness, and he creates woman and says this is a good thing. They are placed in the Garden of Eden. Eden actually means, in the actual Aramaic, delight or of light. So it's the garden of delight. And in the garden, God says to mankind, Adam and Eve, you can eat of any tree in this garden. Now think about this whole allegory here. It's talking about life, the life we have right here now, this life. You can participate in any of the things you want to participate in this entire configuration called humanity. But that one tree, that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of that, because when you eat of that, you shall surely die. And what will you die to? You'll die to the light or delight. When you eat of that tree of the knowledge of what is right and wrong, you have actually gone beyond the will of life itself. And it comes right back down to mankind's inability to judge. Mankind doesn't have that facility. When we think that we know what's right and what's wrong, we're usually far, far away from what is actually right and wrong, or what the cause of the right and wrong may be, which means there may be another way or something else that needs to be understood before we set out to make any condemnation. But here comes the serpent and says to the man and the woman, "Did God say to you that you should not eat of this tree of the knowledge of what is right and wrong?" And they said, "Yes, we could eat of any other tree, but not this one." And the serpent says, "Well, you're not going to surely die if you eat of that tree. In fact, you're going to be like God, knowing the right and wrong of things." And the serpent said, "You shall not die." Was the serpent correct? Absolutely not. Because we do die to the reality of our interconnectedness with everything that lives. We die to it because we see it in a delusional way as being separate from ourselves. And the whole element of the ego consciousness is to sustain the illusion of separation so that there can always be this isolated self, which is me, a body-minded personality, separate and apart from everything I look upon, capable of deciding the right and wrong of everything I see. And in that understanding, we are dead to peace of mind. Dead to it. You can't have it as long as you're operating from the illusionary, centric ego. You cannot have peace of mind. All you can do is promote more and more conflict in your relationships with everything to do with life. And that's not just an outer conflict, it's an inner conflict. So, this whole idea of people living in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones is a very valid, simple way of saying judgment does not belong to human beings. What belongs to us is the ability to have a vision that is there, that resides within us, that we can bring forward in our consciousness and find a life truly worth living that is not filled with conflict, suffering, pain, blame, and war. That's our calling, is to wake up from the illusionary concept of egocentric thinking. Judgment, blame, and condemnation are the ego's way of maintaining the illusion of separation, which is a denial of the divine self. The denial of the divine self, which actually is within everyone. That divine self exists at the core. It is the very nature, our true nature. And so it exists in everyone. And whether or not anyone decides to nurture it and bring it forth in his or her experience is a matter of his or her free will. You're not forced to awaken. You're not forced to try to get back into the reality of your divinity. We should actually be able to understand from the conflicts and the difficulties we confront in life, we should come to understand that maybe there's something we could do to alleviate these conflicts. It's what I refer to as useless, unnecessary suffering. And when we get to that place, when we finally understand, you cannot make the world work, not in its fullness and beauty, as long as you are operating from the illusion of separation. And lots of people try it and attempt it, and they may make great gains on a material level. But if you ever meet these people, you know that there's something different within them. They're not really at peace. They are in a level of control. They keep trying to cling to this idea of control, in which it makes them feel that somehow or other they have an advantage over others. But I've met these people. I've rubbed shoulders with millionaires, not often, but back in New York City, when I worked on Madison Avenue, I did. And I can tell you that they're not at ease. There's no peace of mind. It almost seems like they have to continue to try to strive to collect more of the outer-directed world's treasures in a hope that they'll feel comfortable and safe. And so that's the dilemma. They can never feel comfortable and safe because their divine essence, their soul nature, is God, is love, is peace. So, the Course in Miracles will speak to this, but not just on a cursory level. Course in Miracles speaks to this continuously, just as the Bible does when you understand how to meditate upon the truths revealed in the Bible. Can we have this from the Course in Miracles? Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? You can read this in the text, page 186, paragraphs 3 and 4. In the new edition of the Course in Miracles, it's on page 201. Most of you have the new edition. The world can give you only what you gave it. For being nothing but your own projection, it has no meaning apart from what you found in it and placed your faith in. Be faithful unto darkness, and you will not see, because your faith will be rewarded as you gave it. You will accept your treasure, and you will place your faith in the past. The future will be like it. Whatever you hold dear, you think is yours. The power of your valuing will make it so. At one mint brings a reevaluation of everything you cherish, for it is the means by which the Holy Spirit can separate the false and the true, which you have accepted into your mind without distinction. Can we take this back again, please? Imagine a line like this, because this, of course, that opening line flies in the face of mundane understanding, mundane thinking. That mundane thinking in which we all were born and raised and lived long enough to realize it doesn't play out for peace of mind or healing or love. The world can give you only what you gave it. For being nothing but your own projection, it has no meaning apart from what you found in it and placed your faith in. Be faithful unto darkness, and you will not see, because your faith will be rewarded as you gave it. You will accept your treasure, and if you place your faith in the past, the future will be like it. Whatever you hold dear, you think is yours. The power of your valuing it will make it so. At one mint brings a reevaluation of everything you cherish. For it is the means by which the Holy Spirit can separate the false and the true, which you have accepted into your mind without distinction. So here's the dilemma explained as well. So here we have the insight into the necessity to enter into a higher level of consciousness. And that is what we are all about doing if we are seriously on the path to the enlightened awareness that the masters speak about. We have to open up to the reality of our interconnectedness to everything. And as long as we are not willing to do that, we will have teachers coming that are difficult to take, or teachings that will be hard to take. Because what we do in the illusion of separation is create more and more conflict. And there is no way out except to transcend the illusion of separation. Course in Miracles says, accept the at-one-ment. Accept the reality. And so, I've had an advantage in my life because I grew up in a very impoverished area in what then was an impoverished area, which was Hoboken, New Jersey. That's where I had my early childhood in my life. And the areas that at that time, it was a ghetto slum on the river. Today, it's an upscale community because they realized how valuable that property is on the river, that you can look across and see the New York skyline and all of that. So now it's been completely done over. But if you want to know what my life was like at the time I was growing up, you can watch the movie On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. That was actually filmed in that area that I lived. As a matter of fact, one of the kids that hung out in that area with one of the gangs, there were all kinds of gangs, and all kinds of trouble and all kinds of fear generated in that area. But one of them, who didn't deserve it, was chosen to play the part of Marlon Brando's brother, who kept pigeons on the roof. His name is Tommy Hanley. And so he got a break, and I don't think it ever came to anything as far as a career, but if you want to see the neighborhood and what was taking place when I lived there, that's what was taking place. It was all about the waterfront and the thugs that ran the waterfront and the gangs that just hung out in the streets looking for trouble. So I had that advantage because you don't have to be around a long time to recognize the error in the thinking of criminal-minded people, mean-minded people. They are forever attempting to make something happen, and usually it's backfiring, which adds up to winding up in what they call a reform school, or if they were old enough, in jail, and so on and so forth. I did a stint in reform school, and I guess it was needed. But I had that advantage of looking back and recognizing the thinking in which I grew up was completely erroneously oriented. The illusion of separation was so great, and most of the adults in that illusion did things that were counterproductive to them. They drank a lot, did dope, There were saloons all over that area because of the waterfront on which the dock workers carried on their lives. So I've gotten off the point. Let me get back onto it with this particular quote from a modern-day master, Eckhart Tolle. You can read this on page, in Stillness Peaks, page 40 and 41. The ego sense of self needs conflict because its sense of a separate identity gets strengthened in fighting against this or that and in demonstrating that this is me and that is not me. In your dealings with people, can you detect subtle feelings of either superiority or inferiority toward them? You are looking at the ego which lives through comparisons. We can take this back again, please. The egoic sense of self needs conflict because its sense of separation, identity, gets strengthened in fighting against this or that and in demonstrating that this is me and that is not me. In your dealings with people, can you detect within yourself a subtle feeling of either superiority or of inferiority toward them? You are looking at the ego which lives through comparison. When you think about the wisdom shared in life by the masters down through the ages, Tolle spoke about the time when masters lived back in ancient times. They were like a few separate flowers that were very fragile and easily looked over and forgotten. He said, but today, because of the mass media that we can all tune into, these truths are evident, that there are enough truths being revealed to us that we could understand how to take to task our own limited, ego-centered perception. That's all there is to it. Everything else you could get from anything else is just a lot of pomp and circumstances. If you want to, you can carry on in that fashion, supposing that someday you'll be able to go to Tibet, find that guru, he's going to lay his hands on you, and you're going to be clear. You're going to have peace. You're going to have insight. You're going to know how to live effectively, joyfully, and beautifully. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Because the only way for us to enter into that state of consciousness is to take to task our own awareness and override the flaws in the ego-centered idea of self. I can tell you that when I first got started on the spiritual journey, I was in the Association for Research and Enlightenment, which is the name of the foundation that was formed around Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce, the most documented and most authentic clairvoyant, psychic, gave readings. And in those readings, here's one of the human limitations we have. When I left the house this morning, it was at below zero up in the mountains where I live. And my car yesterday, the back trunk was locked in such a way that it didn't register that it was locked, but it appeared to be locked, and my battery went dead because the trunk is supposed to come down and lock itself, but it wasn't quite locked, and I couldn't get it to lift up. So I guess it had, gotten caught in the ice or something. So I had a lot on my mind getting out and getting to the church this morning. And I did not bring the one book. I thought we had it on the shelf as well. That's why I didn't go back for it. But one of the quotes I wanted to share with you was from the Edgar Cayce readings in his book, The Companion, the Edgar Cayce Companion. And in that reading, he very clearly points out that everything that you are experiencing is what you're giving out. You really should be giving out consideration, forgiveness, kindness, love, and then you'll be receiving that back because you're putting that out into the oneness of all consciousness. And then he also says, or if you continue to give out fear, blame, hate, what you will be experiencing are those things in your everyday life. And that makes the universe honorable. The problem we have is that we have become so used to the limited experiences of the physical life that we don't think there's anything different that could be had. We don't believe fully, without ever going through a process that requires faith, we don't believe that we could enter a life that is truly worth living. Let me explain to you the life truly worth living. My car was frozen, couldn't start, was dead. I went down into my shed in my house and I got the battery charger that I had to carry upstairs, put it down, plug it in, connect it to the battery, and charge the battery. So I charged the battery for about 15 minutes, and the car was ready to start. But something said to me, because I'm going to go back down to the house, Norm is still getting dressed, it's going to be another 20 minutes before we get in the car. Something inside me said, go open the trunk. And I went to try to open it, but just beeped. It wouldn't open. And I thought, it's not fully connected. Somehow or other, it's not connected, or it would open. So here's what I did. By the inspiration of the divine, because there's no reason I would ever go through these kind of things without being the intuition saying, do this. Went down to the house, I got my baby sledgehammer, I got 3 pieces of cardboard, I went back up to the car, I laid the cardboard on top of the back of the trunk, and I slammed it with the sledge. And as I slammed it with the sledge, it went boom. It connected. And I knew what it was. Had I gone back down to the house without ever having done that, the battery would be dead again when we got up to drive to the church. Intuition is the presence. It is inspiration. It is God. It is the universe saying, I love you. You got a trunk that's messed up. Go get a sledgehammer. So here we are, and my partner's not here, so I can do another. Oh yeah, let me do this next. Here it is, the Course in Miracles, in a couple of paragraphs. You can read in the Course in Miracles text, page 92, and the new edition is on page 100. You are only love. It means at your essential self. That's what you really are, love. But when you deny this, you make what you are something you must learn to remember. I said before that the message of the resurrection is teach only love, for that is what you are. This is the one lesson that is perfectly unified because it is the only lesson that is one. Only by teaching it can you learn it. As you teach, so will you learn. If that is true, and it is true indeed, do not forget that what you teach is teaching you. Teach attack in any form, and you have learned it, and it will hurt you. Yet this learning is not immortal, and you can unlearn it by not teaching it. Since you cannot not teach, your salvation lies in teaching the exact opposite of everything the ego believes. This is how you will learn the truth that will set you free and will keep you free as others learn it of you. Can we take this back again, please? I always marvel at the fact that Helen Schuckman scribed this whole thing. What an amazing set of books this actually is. You are only love, but when you deny this, you make what you are something you must learn to remember. I said before that the message of the resurrection is teach only love, for that is what you are. This is the one lesson that is perfectly unified because it is the only lesson that is one. Only by teaching it can you learn it. As you teach, so will you learn. If that is true, and it is true indeed, do not forget that what you teach is teaching you. Teach attack in any form, and you have learned it, and it will hurt you. Yet this learning is not immortal, and you can unlearn it by not teaching it. Since you cannot not teach, your salvation lies in teaching the exact opposite of everything the ego believes. This is how you will learn the truth that will set you free and will keep you free as others learn it of you. Okay, we'll take a few minutes for meditation together. You can begin by taking a couple of deep breaths. As you release your breath, release any particular cares or concerns that you might be harboring. Just be willing to be sitting here in this quiet, peaceful place, allowing the moment to be what it is, allowing this moment to be what it is. And we can facilitate the meditation with a thought, an ideal, sometimes referred to as a mantra, that gives focus to the mind. And so we can take this particular mantra and hold it gently in our awareness. And if other thoughts come in, let them come and let them go. Return your awareness to this ideal truth. Everything I look upon, everyone I see, is also God, just like me. Everything I look upon, everyone I see, is worthy of forgiveness, healing peace, and love, just like me. Everyone I look upon, everyone I see, is only God, just like me, worthy of forgiveness, healing peace, and love. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us go forth with a greater determination and inspiration to be awake in the process of living so that we can live effectively, divinely. For this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. As we're preparing to do this, I'll speak to you online, and anyone can actually go online to unityofboulder.com, and you can, scan the QR code and give a donation to Unity of Boulder. So we have that QR code in the lobby. You can do that as you're leaving. Scan it with your phone. Everyone here can bring into their hands that gift they'd like to make today to Unity of Boulder. And let's bless this gift with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. Oh Lord, oh Lord.
So join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of Truth. The Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of Truth. And so it is. Once again, you're all invited to our discussion group, which takes place immediately after the service. Through these doors, to your left, into the bookstore. There's an annex room off the bookstore that have circled chairs. You can join us and discuss anything you want, ask any question you want, and we'll be there to share it with you. Have an amazingly beautiful day.